What's good, you guys? It's your boy Zens back on the channel. Today I actually got 5 tips for y'all to get your drums bouncing. Look, bro. Y'all know what I mean. I formatted this video as a tutorial, but this is really just me showing y'all my favorite beats. The first tip is real simple: swing your drums. Pretty much everything is swung except for like kicks. Any of the kicks that's like on the one or like main kicks, basically. I never really ship those too much. That's typically why I'm always on the arrangement field a lot with the drums and stuff like that. You can see the clap here is usually my typical like go-to swing. So I'll drag it back a little bit and then I move the hi-hats ahead. So these are shifted. I just shift them in the sampler. So you can see here it's like shifted by 0.6. So that's like a lot. So here's another example. But as you can see, I did basically the same thing I did for the last beat. The clap is shifted, but you can see it's a little bit closer to the grid. So it's not as shifted because I don't want to throw an artist off on this type of beat. The hi-hats, I'm a little bit more generous with those most of the time. Snares, counter snares, a lot of it just can be shifted. So it kind of all like matches up. So it's pretty consistent in the way that it's swung. Really simple, just like a rim shot 808 kick. So it's really just the rim that's shifted backwards just a little bit, and then we got the hi-hats here that are definitely shifted from the sampler, and on the piano you can see is like slightly shifted. This works really well for these like Travis Scott, like Wonder Girl style beats. Not too much shifting. It's more about the vibe for these, and then just having like really hard drums. But a lot of my drum patterns, when I'm laying the kick down, I'll have like a secondary like kick under it that is about like half of the volume of the original kick. So the main kick is hitting at the volume like I wanted to like punch through the mix, and then these like little second like kind of ghost kicks, they kind of just sit in the back of the mix and just help the bounce out a little bit. So next up for the second tip is layering. Now this can kind of mean multiple things. This can be like percussion like layers, it could be kick layers, stuff like that. Anything you could kind of layer to give it like a bit of a different texture and hit a little bit different in like the mix, I guess. It actually does add movement and a little bit of depth to the actual beat. Now, just visually, you can see the amount of layers. So all these extra layers are just percussive elements. So it's usually just like a second hi-hat loop that's like kind of stacked on another one. This hi-hat right here is only hitting like 4 times in a bar. It gives you room to kind of do different stuff. You can kind of have them play off of each other a little bit. And that type of like back and forth is what gets me closer to like the drum bounce I'm like looking for. To kind of take that explanation a little bit further, I guess the reason why these layers kind of work in this sense, they all have different timbres, and they also are different dynamically. So they kind of have like different volumes they're playing at. That kind of combination gives it that like depth and different like character. Another bonus here is after you drag like a hi-hat loop in here, I almost always take like a bunch of different like parts out of it and move it around, move the timing off. Like one could be here, one could be there, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And just going through and seeing what parts of the hi-hat loop or whatever loop it is fit in what area. On to the third tip. Listen to the melody. Do not rush. Take your time. Don't mistake this for me saying like take extra long on the drums. The difference this time is that I want you to kind of in your mind map out like a few different drum styles. I know a lot of producers can listen to like a melody and just kind of have the drums already laid out. So listening to that melody, this is, look, this is interactive now. This is interactive. So I'm asking you right now, what type of drums do you hear on this? Don't skip ahead. Don't cheat, bro. Just think real quick. Now don't lie. If you got something similar to what I got here, shout out to you. We on the same wavelength. It can be like really uninspiring to just be making the same type of drum patterns or the same type of beats all the time. So I feel like it's a really good like exercise to just really think about stuff just a little bit differently, seeking out different styles of music to incorporate into your beats and stuff. For the most part, you can't really pick up on different rhythms if you haven't heard different rhythms. You know what I'm saying? So tip number 4 is using stutters, cutoffs, or rolls, I guess, if you want to call it that too. So just kind of combining all of those, I feel like has like a really cool like choppiness or like a sampled type of like feel to the beat. So now looking at it closer, you can kind of see where stutters are happening. So the same thing I did with the melody here, this little stutter here, I'll do it to the actual like hi-hat loops. So if I bring this down here and drag it out, you can see this is not actually what like plays. So I chopped it into different like little sections, and mostly I do this for like variation. So sometimes I won't even chop it up as much. So that's a good way to just change the same like percussive loop up if you just go in and chop it yourself. And definitely don't be afraid to like do it with like vocals too, like little vocal stutters. And let me just put y'all back on to the drum fills. If you haven't been using drum fills, they sound fire, man. If you use it sparingly, even with these concepts, you just got to do it like in the right like pockets. You can get some really, really cool, like simple but slightly complex drum bounces going on. Now the 5th and last tip for the video is just start the drums simple and then just add layer by layer to make it more complex. Now, as obvious as that sounds, I know some of these FOPs I was pulling up look kind of crazy. It's like, but yeah, none of these start off like this. After I get like a simple kind of like basic drum pattern down, I listen back to it and see where I can start putting little like percussive accents on it to like sauce it up and add like a bit of like a different, unique kind of like bounce to it. This is one of the ones where it looks like it's a lot going on and it actually is a lot going on. So to go into more detail, this is basically what I put down initially. Most of it is pretty simple, pretty standard. So then I go back in, add the counter snares. And then for some reason, I thought like it would be kind of cool to have like a layered like kick that's like wider, has like a little bit of reverb on it. So I add these like little kicks to it. I even add like a reverse kick to kind of bring it into the actual like drop. It's like more of an extreme example of what you would do like typically. So you could probably see what I mean now. When we first started breaking down the beginning parts of the beat, it was just kick, snare, hi-hats. Real basic idea. I just kind of got like a little bit of a pocket down and I'm just like, okay, now I'm gonna go in, add the counter snares, add these accent hi-hats, and maybe just throw some open hats in there. Oh yeah, with that being said, hopefully I was able to help some of you guys out. If you did learn something, make sure to drop it a like. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, some of these are more extreme examples. You want to kind of dial it back, just take what I'm saying and just like kind of flip them into stuff that works for you or works for like your style and how you kind of operate with like drums and stuff. And yeah, with that being said, I appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next one.